Hi again. I'm Joe Connolly with Neil A. Caruso with another Dime Community Bank growing business interview. Our guest is Talia McKinney, who heads her own division at Serhant Real Estate in Manhattan. And that is an arrangement. It's a little unusual, but it's one that sometimes people use to later go on and start their own business. So, Talia, tell us how running your own team within a company works for you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it works great for me. I started in residential real estate about 9 years ago. I've been working with Ryan Serhant for 7 years, and I started on his team. So he was my mentor. He kind of taught me the business, and I feel like I got to a point where he started his own brokerage where I was beginning to outgrow him. So it was the perfect timing for him to start his own brokerage and bring me over because I feel like with my business, it was really starting to pick up. I was getting lots of referrals. I was getting repeat clients, and I started to just grow so much, which is great, that I needed to start to build my own team. Ryan's like, you get to a point where you have to bring other people onto your team. And that's sort of the position that I was in.
So, do I understand correctly then? You were both growing, and maybe at that moment, instead of starting your own business, the two of you said, let's become partners with our own parallel but associated tracks.
Basically, yeah. So he's like the head of the brokerage. He's the CEO, and he's like, "You're great. You need to be, a part of the brokerage, and then, you need to kind of have your own team where you're the team lead, and then you have junior agents under you who, instead of turning down business, which I never liked to do, I was the yes girl. I wanted to do everything and run all over Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn." He's like, you need to, your business will start to succeed and grow by bringing other agents onto your team. And he was 1,000% right.
That's great. You're described as, I like that, 1,000% right.
Yeah.
That's really right. You're described as an expert negotiator. What are a couple of negotiating tips, whether in real estate or any business pursuit, that you have found successful for both sides in your experience?
Yes, I would say I'm an expert negotiator. I'm actually helping teach a course on negotiations. So for real estate or sales or anything in general, I think you really have to work together with the other party to get a deal done or to get what you want. So what I like to say is, yes, a lot of agents feel like you're on competing sides when you're submitting an offer for a seller and you're submitting an offer for a broker or for a buyer, and you're trying to, have a meeting of the minds. But what I like to see is that we are like a team that likes to work together. We're trying to get a deal done for both of our clients. We want this to be, a smooth transaction. So what I like to do is say, we want to get this deal done. Let's work together to do this. We're not like competing against each other. We want to collaborate and get what's best for both of our clients.
But how does that really work then when push comes to shove? I'll give you this if you give me that. How do you then make that happen, Talia?
I think it's being transparent with both sides. Let's speak in real estate terms. So I'm representing a buyer. You have a broker who's representing a seller. Rather than, obviously you can't share 100% of what is really going on with like where your client wants to come in, but it's just trying to get the deal done together. Like I had an offer last week. And it was down to negotiating the furniture. And the other broker was just like very hard-headed, not giving me any information. So basically I called them and said, what can we do to get this deal done? I want this to work for your client. I want this to work for my client. And they kind of let their guard down. Like I was saying, you want this to sell just as much as me. What can we do to push this across the finish line? And they kind of respected that I said that I wasn't just like, behind the scenes, hiding everything from them. It was more like, what can we do? What does your client want? What does my client want? How can we make this work together? Because we both want the same thing. We both want to sell this property.
And you did that realtor to realtor, not in front of the clients at a showing, right? Just come here. Let's talk.
Right. And I'm not giving information, like I said, that will, I have a fiduciary to my buyer, but it's more like, how can we get it across the finish line? And I think that's huge in sales, in real estate, is like working for the deal.
Neil.
Stop playing games, basically.
Exactly.
So, a lot of people wrote off New York City during the pandemic, but I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't really buy that based on the traffic lately into Manhattan. But it was funny because I was talking to someone who said if he didn't have to work in Manhattan, he would rather live in Brooklyn. Is that what you're seeing right now? I mean, what's your biggest read on real estate in New York City? Is it the outer boroughs that are really growing? Is it Manhattan? Has that where is that today?
Yeah, so I do rentals and sales. And like I said, I would say majority Manhattan and Brooklyn, a lot in Queens, but not as much. So I would say yes. Like right after 2021, a lot of people were making the move to Brooklyn. They wanted the townhouse. They wanted to have their own entrance. They didn't really use amenities as much as pre 2020. Now I would say a lot of people are coming back into the city. A lot of places are requiring full 5 days a week in office. So we are seeing an uptick in both rentals and sales in Manhattan. And then I think in Brooklyn just got a huge surge after 2020. That kind of just like took off to begin with. So a lot of more new developments in Brooklyn that people are looking at with amenities. And then of course you have the townhouse market where people just want a 2-family townhouse where they have their own homes, their own backyards, which is also, I feel like just that's taken off and that's not stopping anytime soon with townhouses.
Right. And what about conversions from office buildings to residential? I hear they're moving ahead in other big cities, but Manhattan seems to be pretty slow.
Yeah, I would say Manhattan's slower on that just because, we do have inventory that I think we're trying to fulfill first. Do I see that happening? Possibly, because again, it's New York City and everyone kind of wrote it off. And now it's like you said, the traffic, the rental prices, everything is increasing. So I do see that being a possibility of doing these conversions. And I do feel like it would be successful because again, it's New York City. We always come back. People always want to live here. You have people, coming here for new jobs or being back in office full time. Graduation is coming up. So we're going to see a lot of people coming into the city that are looking for more inventory. So I do see that as a possibility as well.
Talia, you made it onto Bravo's $1 Million Listing. How did that happen?
Yes. So I was Ryan's right-hand girl when he had the show $1 Million Listing New York, which is, in the works, potentially still happening. Season 9, they did 9 seasons on Bravo TV. So about 3 years ago, he kind of started putting me on the show and they were like, she has a great personality. Like she should do more of this. So he kind of put me on the show more. And so we have a lot of different scenes together and we had a lot of fun. And Ryan, if anyone watches the show, Ryan gets a little crazy and threw me off in a lot of the scenes. So it's always, season 8 and 9, I was on it a lot, which was fun. And we did really well and the ratings did really well. So yeah, it was always a fun experience.
Where is the course that you teach?
Yeah, so
Ryan,
so he has a program called Sell It Like Sirhan. And he came up with this method. It's called the Kodo method, which is called close on day one. And so I have a closings and negotiations course, which I'm actually teaching later today. And so, yeah, people can find it online. It's called Mastering the Kodo Technique, and it's with Sell It Like Sirhan. It's a great course for real estate agents, but literally for anyone in sales and anyone in business who wants to, perfect that craft.
I'm sure you're a great teacher. I can see that. I would sign up for that course.
Yes, thanks. You can take it too.
Let's do
Thanks,
it, Joe.
Talia. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.